Hello and welcome to another episode of the Spooky Chris podcast. My name is Chris Ringler. I am the aforementioned Spooky Chris. This is my podcast. You can find all of my podcasts and blogs and movie reviews at my website, spookychris.com. I am obviously podcaster, movie reviewer, author, occasional artsy type of guy, etc. So, hi. So as we find ourselves whiling our way through January, everyone's lists are all done, and they did the big, like, these are the best movies, these are the worst movies, this is the that of this. So I looking back over the stuff I've seen, and I will say I use a website and app called Letterboxd to kind of keep track of things, and I people talk it up, and it's pretty rad because the casual membership is free, and I basically use it as a way for myself to keep kind of track of the movies I'm seeing. It's nice to know how many movies I've seen, what I'm watching, and for things like this, just kind of look back, go, oh yeah, I forgot that movie, that's great. Doesn't mean that those movies were forgettable or anything, just that I am able to watch a lot of movies, and I like to keep track of what I'm seeing and when, and all that stuff. If you're a movie geek, you'll understand. If not, then call it just obsessive compulsive tendencies, I guess. So I went over my list of everything I'd seen, and I figured I would hand out my own little version of the movies that really kind of stuck with me, and that they were my favorite movies of 2023. They were obviously I'm sticking to horror on this. There are a lot of movies I did not see. A lot of the big ones. I didn't see Oppenheimer. I didn't see Saltburn. I didn't see a lot of stuff that has caught the attention of folks. Just didn't. I basically watch what I want to see, which is, I would like to think all of us do that, but I also feel like there's a portion of us that see, like with Oppenheimer, which I'm excited to see, and I'm sure is absolutely brilliant. But I feel with how well it did, people got caught up in the Barbenheimer thing, and it became such a moment that people have this FOMO, this fear of missing out, and they didn't want to not know what people were talking about, so they went out and see it, not necessarily wanting to see it, but needing to see it so they could be part of the discourse. And maybe I'm wrong. It's nice when an adult drama does well, because it doesn't happen a whole lot. So I did not see even all of the big horror movies. Like I didn't see Talk to Me, and I didn't see Megan, and I see what I can, when I'm able and what I'm interested in. I'll see. Shoot, I just saw Pearl and X this year, 2023. So I was late to the game on those. So I will see. Talk to Me when I'm able, and blah blah blah. I mean, toddler life, man. You do what you can. So these were the movies I gave 4 stars and above out of a 5-star scale. And then as a bonus, I'll give my movie of the year, which, as it turns out, is not a horror film. So without any further ado, let's dive in. So these were the movies that I enjoyed the most that were horror films in 2023. And again, I'm not going to say they were the best films. They were that. These were the movies. These were the movies that I liked the most that were horror films released in 2023. We'll leave it at that. Best, worst, I'm just not interested. So, in no order, truly, and literally just because I for some reason don't have it on my list I'm looking at, is Scream 6. You would never guess. So when you got to Scream 3 and everybody was like, oh, it's over, they've jumped the shark, it's just like, this is terrible now, it's no good, we're over it. And then yet we get to episode 6, as it were, and it's still a good, solid series. it has its ups, it has its downs. There's episodes. There's entries that you may like one more than the other, but they're all good. They've all had really good actors in them. The mystery has been interesting. They've always been able to throw kind of curveballs to kind of like keep you guessing, and to keep the mystery alive. And I love it. I loved that. I love that they have kept Ghostface essentially as a character, between the voice and the look. It's almost like they exist outside of anyone portraying them, as it were, and I like that. It's a shame that money became such a big deal in this. Like I wish they would let Nev Campbell go and just like let that character move on. Same with Gale Weathers. Courtney Cox. I wish they'd let them just kind of not be in them anymore. And I get why, everybody's afraid of like moving forward and like not having that connection because it's all money. Like they don't want the box office to drop and blah blah blah. But I think like the actors they had were strong enough, and I think it's interesting. I think like moving it to New York was interesting. I think they added a lot of wrinkles that were it was really fun. And it was a really fun movie. I really enjoyed it. I'm sorry. I just don't know. At this point, I feel like, and it stinks that for now we're not going to get a kind of a wrap up of what they're trying to say, because it seems like they're trying to get to something. Maybe. And it's a shame that's not going to happen. But I think at this point, it's best just to let it go. Like their idea of what the series is, sit on it for a minute and not rush to force another one. And I mean, to me, the series can exist as Halloween 3 was meant to exist as kind of an anthology. Like it's young people. It's people it's a friendship group that love, a love of geekdom, we'll say, or movies even, whatever. And there is a killer in their midst. I think you can take that and you can run with it. The series did a decent job of it and showed you can do it. And you can add new wrinkles. And you can use the other movies as like, oh, someone was inspired by that whole thing and they're doing it and it's not connected to Sydney or anything. You can even reference like, why are they going after them? And it's like, because they don't want them. So you can do, it's interesting. You could do something. And I don't know if it'll work, but it's worth it. It's a better option than dragging actors that deserve to move on and characters that deserve to move on back into it and to force a story because, the last one was successful. So I really enjoyed Scream 6 though. So bravo. I will actually keep the movie, I think my favorite horror movie of the year till last. Knock at the Cabin. I did not expect that to be as solid as it was. I expected it to be very formulaic and very telegraphed. Because I kind of got the gist of what it was about, and I was like, oh, well, okay. It's just, going through the motions. Really great acting from Dave Bautista. Some really solid acting in general. A really well done film. Really well made. That has wrinkles that make you start to question what's happening. And when you can do that with this kind of story, that says something, because there's usually only one of two ways these kind of movies can go. Either someone has a belief, say at the end of the world is ending, and either they're right or they're wrong. Both can work, but I'm always disappointed in it not working, being the end of the world, because it's just like, I don't know, I like that element, the like, oh crap, this is bigger than everything, and how everything was handled in this, whatever everything means, was really well done, and it was a really good movie, really solid. And, I totally slept on it until I was seeing it at home, and it's a solid movie. It's really good. Next one is Thanksgiving, which was fantastic. It is exactly what you would hope a movie like that would be. Again, I was skeptical because I figured it would just be paint by numbers. and to some degrees it is. Roth does a fantastic job though, with good characters, a really good mystery that actually does have you guessing until the end, some great set pieces, a great new villain, and just a really fun movie. It is you hear this all the time. It's a throwback, and it's a this and that. It is a throwback in the best of ways, not an obsessive can't get past the past kind of way, but in a this is referencing classic 80s slasher films without mimicking them, and it's really great. It's a fun movie. It's a great see it with a group movie, because it's really a good time. And horror needs these. I love thoughtful, I love dark, I love whimsical, but something that's just a fun roller coaster horror film is that's essentially can be it's the bread and butter of what keeps it going. That's what people kind of get their enjoyment out of, are those movies. VHS 85 was fantastic. Again, that series has been up and down. I liked the first couple entries. Third one just did nothing for me. The fourth one was hit and miss. The couple of the entries were just such painful misfires. But VHS 85 was really, really good, and very creepy. And again, surprising me is always a good thing in these movies, and it surprised me, and wonderfully so. And I loved that. But very well made, very creepy, and a great anthology. And it shows there is still life in this corpse, because they, that's the thing, is found footage. I get people roll their eyes and ugh. There's a million ways found footage has rules, and you have to follow those rules. It is what it is. But there's a million ways you can make those movies and shoot those movies and tell those stories. And I'm glad that, it's great when people figure out ways to do it that are not things we've seen 100 times, or even if they can twist what we think we know, and subvert it, and show us, at least even a story we hadn't seen. I love that. That's why I still love that subgenre so much, is because you will find movies that are just oh, look at you. I saw one recently called Safari, which wasn't great, but I loved that they took the found footage conceit and they had it with kind of pseudo influencers on a safari that goes awry. And I was like, you hadn't really seen that. Okay. So I appreciated that. Next up, Haunted Mansion, a movie I wouldn't have guessed I'd like. But here's the thing. I'm such a wonk for Haunted Mansion in general. I actually like the Eddie Murphy movie. It's fun. It's not what I would have made. Just like this new one is not what I would make out of that. But I also realize it's Disney, and part of the whole thing is it's a ride. And that's what the new movie was. It was a fun ride. It's not nearly as corny as the trailers made it seem. It's not as hammy. It's got some creeps and crawls in it, and it was a really fun movie. If it's a good family horror movie, good gateway horror movie, and if you have any love for the ride and all of that mythology, it's a good time. It's not a movie for everybody, but I really enjoyed it. Evil Dead Rise, again, another series that between Raimi and the last two directors, Fade Alvarez, and I can't think of this guy. They keep the last two directors have reinvented it, and Fade was it was the same story ish, but went so dark and so brutal, with no humor. It was great, and it really does get under your skin. And the new one has more humor. It has more of the humor, but it's very just pitch black humor in it, and it brings in a new something, which is great. It's pretty gnarly, as in no one's really safe in this movie, and that was really fun to see. So you just don't know what's going on. And again, it's another one that they've decided hey, we're going to essentially make this an anthology series. Someone winds up with the Book of the Dead, and bad stuff happens, and they try to survive it. And I think it's great. I think Evil Dead Rise was absolutely just a great fun time. and just a fun entry to that series. Boogeyman was a great adaptation. Very creepy monster. Really good film. A lot of chills. Towards the end, like when it really ramps up, it's really tense and really good. I really enjoyed it, and it's a shame more people didn't really clamor for it and kind of fight for it, because it's really good. It's one of those, like, yeah, it's not Stand By Me. It's not it. It's not a huge tent pole, and it's not one of the ones that people will bring up in 20 years necessarily. But it is very good and very solid, and it reflects the work it comes from well, and it's just one of those. And I think maybe that's the problem, is that it's a good adaptation. It's not crazy. It's not the best movie you'll ever see. It's not the worst movie you'll ever see. It's just a good, solid, scary movie. And I think we're just in a time when people want the best thing they've ever seen or the worst thing they've ever seen. They don't want just good. They want something to like love or hate, and there's really no room in their lives for like, oh, that's good. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good movie. Finally, the best scary movie I saw as of this moment, and I haven't seen Talk to Me yet, and I have seen other ones. I saw Jeepers Creepers. I can't think of the one. It's a foreign film about demon possession, and it was good. It just didn't fry my potatoes as much as it did others. But the movie that really got to me was Cobweb. I saw that recently as well, and that is a rare movie where I watched this alone at my home, and I was very vocal. I was like, oh no, because when you realize what's happening and when what happens, it starts happening, it is just not what I expected, and I was very pleasantly surprised, and it is just so bonkers and scary, and I loved it, and it was a really scary, fun movie, and I hope more people get a chance to see it. And I saw people saying how, no, this is a Halloween movie, they should watch it around Halloween. It is, in that it's set there, and it has pumpkins in it. And I guess jack-o'-lantern, it's set around Halloween. It just doesn't feel like a Halloween movie. It's just a real fun movie you can watch any time of the year. So those are the horror movies that really stood out. And the movie of the year for me that I saw, I keep throwing that caveat on there because, again, I haven't seen everything. I can't see everything. I kind of watch what I want to see, blah, blah, blah. But the movie of the year for me that I saw, hands down, because I just watched it again recently, was Nimona, which was an adaptation of a graphic novel that Netflix did. It's an animated film. It's absolutely wonderful. Similar themes that you've seen in a million other movies, doesn't matter. Chloe Grace Moretz plays the title character, and she's absolutely fantastic. She nails the role. Riz Ahmed is her foil in the movie. They're both great. It is a story of love and monsters and redemption and fear and intrigue, and it's great. And it says so much to say about the otherness of people and identity. And I mean, I've seen other people kind of say the queerness of people, and it's great because it doesn't feel like preaching, but it's very firm in its stance that you are more than your, you get to choose what you are and who you are. Other people don't get to decide that you're this or that. You get to choose that. What's interesting is you don't see that, but I mean, kind of you get that with Iron Giant in the I'm Not a Gun. And he's this robot with a lot of weapons, and he is making a decision. I am not a weapon. And he is choosing it. I guess it's an it. It doesn't have it is choosing its identity. And that is, Nimona is about that in spades, in both the main characters. And it's just fantastic. It's a great animated film. There's some scary stuff. There's a little bit of violence. There's definitely some heartstring pulling, but but I think it's still a decent movie for families with older kids. Not toddlers like mine necessarily. Not that she got upset, but just saying. But yeah, absolutely, like just a wonderful film, and I hope more people get a chance to check it out because it's kind of buried on Netflix, and it's absolutely worth looking for because it's fantastic. And that was it. Like, everybody always talks about like, oh, it's a down year, it's an up year, it's a whatever. There's good movies every year. Every year there's bad movies. Every year there's good movies. I laughed every time I always got to read the worst movies of the year list more than the best because I'm always curious because I always like movies on there like Believer, The Exorcist Believer, always on the list, and they're always like, oh, this is terrible, this is the worst. It's not. I liked it. I didn't love it. Just asterisk-y, just kind of this is a bonus. It's not The Exorcist, man. Get over it. It's. I don't remember this much hand-wringing when they did Exorcist 4 Dominion, either version of it. Or Exorcist 3, which is brilliant, but like I don't remember as much hand-wringing as there was now. It's a shame David Gordon Green can't see kind of his vision for the trilogy out. Whatever. I thought this Believer was a good movie. Again, not great. But the thing is this: we don't have the same, like, if Exorcist the original comes out today, I don't think it has the same cultural impact because at that moment, America was trying to figure out its identity, its place with war, with people coming back from war, with gender politics, with racial politics, all this stuff. And there had been the famous, I can't remember if it was Life magazine maybe, but the magazine cover said God is dead. No, maybe it was Time. I don't know if I can see Life putting out there, but maybe it was Time. But it said God is dead, and it was this wrestling with religion as much as anything else. So you came out with this movie that was very firmly entrenched in Catholic symbolism and ideology and all this stuff and demonism and demonology and it just hit the wave at the right time, just like Star Wars. Just like Titanic now or Avatar, or Barbie. It hits the right wave at the right moment. If Barbie comes out 15 years earlier, does it do as well? Probably not. It has to hit at the right time. And again, I'm not saying Believer will like, oh, if it had to come out a better time, everybody loved it. No, it's a good movie. It's not great. I like some of the stuff they did. I like some of the callbacks to the original. Some of it's corny. Some of they kind of force images of demon stuff in there that are forced. David Gordon Green obviously appreciates horror. I don't know that he fully understands how to make horror. Like you see that with the new Halloween movies, is that some stuff is great that he's doing, and then other stuff feels very heavy-handed. And that's what you get with this one. But dude, it's not the worst movie of the year. It is not, you can say you didn't like it. But I laugh when it's like, oh, worst movie of the year. It's one of the worst ever. Like, bro, believe me, having seen a lot of freaking movies, I saw 138 last year. Like, it's not a bad movie. It's not a great movie. It's a good movie. It's okay. It's that's all right. Yeah, not that bad. So mileage may vary. So there you go, friend. There was my feelings on 2023. I'm sure this year I'll have great movies. I'm excited about a lot of stuff. Obviously, the Godzilla movie is forefront. Like, ooh, that's going to be fun. But I hope you're well. Happy New Year. I hope the movies that you saw thrilled and chilled and you liked, and hopefully you learned of one or two that you might want to check out now. I am Chris Ringler. I am Spooky Chris. You can find my podcasts and my blogs and my many, many, many reviews and all the other fun stuff I do at my website, spookychris.com. I will talk to you